Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. It's very nice being here. I would like to start by saying thank you to the organization, also to Speaker for giving us this opportunity. Can I have the presentation, please?
Yep, putting it up.
Okay. So today I'm going to be talking about autism around the world and how to build positive and cultural context for inclusion. I've been big part of my work, of my research, and everything I have done around the world is focused on culture, the impact that culture has on autism, and autism on culture of different countries and different social contexts. I'm gonna wait a bit for the presentation. In the meantime, I can tell you a bit about my story. I'm an autistic person, individual. I've been working in the UK several years for the National Autistic Society. I've been also head of a school in London, and now I'm traveling around the world doing some research about autism. Now at the moment I'm in Mexico. So as I said, autism around the world, building positive and cultural context for inclusion. So I'm the director of One Smile to Change the World, which is an free educational program that we do all over the world. We do it online with students from the 5 continents, some different countries. And what we do is we help them to improve social skills throughout different activities, different like learning English, learning arts, based on their likes and motivation. We create groups with different volunteers as well, and we help them to improve social skills. So we have students from Africa, Asia, America, and it's very nice seeing this what I mentioned before, the impact of autism in society, religion, culture. We're gonna be talking about it today. Can you pass the slide, please? So, as I said before, well, I'm an autistic individual. This is my twin sister. And I always say that the big ideas arise from experiences that mark or change our life. So I had a difficult childhood where education was not, educational system didn't help me enough. I thought that I wasn't good or intelligent enough to study. I had many difficulties. And then when I traveled to London, when I started working for the National Autistic Society, I discovered that I am autistic and gifted. So because of my experience, my deep interest, autism became my biggest interest, and I created a new pedagogy for neurodiversity, which I tested in different areas, different countries, also online. And I got the cum laude as a mark for my PhD because of this pedagogy. Can you change the slide, please? I'm gonna drink a bit of water. So as I mentioned before, well, this is the title of my dissertation, the PhD. Education and socialization of students with autism spectrum disorder, application of an international online program based on the paradigm of intercultural and inclusive education. This is something that I explained already. The reason why we call it One Smile to Change the World, I call it that way, is because for me it was very difficult to understand emotions when I was a child, when I was a teenager. But I could always understand a pure and a true smile. You know, the eyes here, the blinks here, and the mouth is something, and it made me feel very good. I'm going to be talking a lot today about 2 key words: context and culture. To me, smile always brings the best context for people to blossom and to have a good life. Can we change the slide? I have to apologize with the water, but my throat is a bit not good. I'm having a bit of flu, so I have to drink a lot. Now, context. We're going to define context. No, it's a physical or situational environment, political, historical, culture of any other nature in which a fact is considered. It's also the knowledge of the world necessary to understand the message of our interlocutor. We know how difficult it is for autistic people to understand different contexts and to learn certain skills in one context and then transfer those skills to different contexts. Now, I always like to do a metaphor with this emoji. So I don't know if somebody can write in the chat or if you want to write. If we see this emoji, what do we think that we are trying to say? So if somebody sends you by WhatsApp that, what do you think of? I don't know if people can message, but every time I do this, everybody says this is water. Everybody thinks of water. So then if we change the slide, can we change the slide, please? So then you see we have the same emoji, same drop, but it means different thing based on where we place it. So I like using this metaphor because I like to say that we can see, let's imagine that the drop is an autistic person, autistic individual, and the face is the context. So based on where we put the drop, it really says different thing. The context really helps the little drop to be happy or to be sad or to be laughing. So as teachers, as parents, we are in charge of creating we are responsible for creating the right context for our children, our students to blossom, to have a good life, and to have so then they can develop themselves, and they can have an independent life, and they can do whatever they really want to do. Then we're going to define culture, please. So by culture, we understand beliefs, values, and behaviors that are shared in a group. And the most important part for me always is language. Culture includes the language, customs, and beliefs about the roles that people perform and the relationships between them. Now, language. Why language? Because language changes realities. Language changes the world. It is very important that we create a new international culture, neurodiverse culture. So then we modify the language so that we create better context as well for autistic people and neurodivergent people. We're going to be talking about change of narrative today, but let's carry on with the presentation. Sorry. Culture and social norms. Now, it is very important that we accept and celebrate the diversity. I always say that the quality that makes us equal or the same is that we all are different. So it's important that we really think of coexistence rather than inclusion. When we talk about the change of narrative, I'm going to go deeper into that. Why? Because can we include? Shall we include somebody that is already here? So we are already here. We have to go for a coexistence model where autistic people are active part of the community, and we reduce the stigma associated with autism. Then it is very important that we educate and we train people, so then awareness is very important as well. So we promote education on autism, training on autism, and everybody around the world understand autism and the way we think, the way we express our emotions, and the way we process information. I always say that Everybody that has something to see with autism, it can be regardless, if it is autistic person, parents, teachers, professionals working with autistic people, we all have to train people and talk about autism, so then in the future we have a better world. We shouldn't forget that the most optimistic data or statistics by the WHO says that 1 every 100 people are autistic around the world. But we have some statistic in the United States or different countries. We are even talking about 1 in every 36 people. So we really need to work on that and work hard towards changing and improving the world. Can we change the slide, please? Now, autism around the world. I'm going to be only giving a few examples of autism around the world. Now, I've been traveling, as I mentioned before, around different countries, different continents, and also I've been working online with many societies all over the world. That is why my main focus, very interested on the impact, as I said, in different cultures. To the point that even in many countries, this impact has an impact even in the diagnosis. So I'm going to be talking about Africa now as well. I'm going to give you a couple of nice examples. United States, so many areas still is understood from a medical and psychological perspective, although there are many activists and many organizations pushing now for everybody to see it from the neurodiversity paradigm point of view. However, there are still stigmas, especially in less informed areas, that it's something that happens all over the world. In Japan, in certain areas, there is a growing interest in neurodiversity. There is more understanding of autism and neurodiversity, but still can be seen in the context of gammon culture that involves enduring hardship with dignity. So is something that they don't, is something they have to, they help them, but they don't accept in many areas still autism. So it is seen from the gammon culture. In Africa, it is seen in many tribes and many areas from the spiritual point of view, and it's associated with supernatural beliefs and power, spiritual powers, and even some kids are seen like having a gift. They connect with some other world, they connect with other spirits. And it can be seen in other areas with a lot of rejection, misunderstanding. There's one South Africa, one area that different place that happen all over the world as well. If we think about it, in some cultures, it is not seen, it is not something acceptable that children looked at adults' eyes. So you think about it, that is one of the clues for us to start thinking that the child might be autistic or might have maybe has some difficulties. If we, all the children, none of them look at adults' eyes, so then just a little example of how can impact, the impact that can have the culture on autism. Can we change the slide? I'm going to talk about India. India is huge, as we all know, and perception varies from less informed or educated areas. Also, the different religions and tradition has huge impact, but it is mostly seen as a medical problem and that requires intervention. Also, other areas I mentioned before is seen from the spiritual point of view, beliefs about karma, spiritual influences, and they don't have many resources in certain areas. That's happened also in South America, Central America, where I'm placed now. Depending on where you live, you have more resources, less resources, more informed teachers and trainers, or less informed. It is very, very, very uneven in India, South America, Africa, even East of Asia. Yeah, Muslim culture. So autism for Muslim communities, some of them, for example, in Indonesia, I was volunteering a couple of times there with different societies, and it was seen as a test of faith or a family challenge. So the family is considered that it's a test for the family. They have to face the challenge of raising that child, and so then they can arrive to God. That was the way that it was seen at that place. Not in every community. Again, the training and the education has a huge impact on the way they see it. The responses can range from increased compassion, support, stigma, is depending on the area, the country, how educated they are, training. So because of that, training and education is the key for us to increase the awareness, autism awareness. And then in Europe, there's a strong focus on inclusion, social welfare, tends to be more accepted and understood, and Europe has a good overall well-established education and support programs. Not enough, because there's still a huge lack of training for universities and teachers, and that is why we have to create these spaces like these conferences. So I always, when I do training in South America, in Spain, in United Kingdom, I always tell them, especially in Spain, United Kingdom is a bit better with neurodiversity in terms of training. But I will always ask teachers how many subjects they studied. They knew about neurodiversity, about autism. They didn't even know it. They didn't even study some of them. So it is important that we change curriculum of degrees, curriculum of even secondary. We should mention neurodiversity. We should increase the awareness. Everybody should understand how our brain works, the difficulties we face, the challenges we face, and especially the strengths we have. Can we change the slide? Thank you. I like, sorry, I think that because of the format, when there are some words that became together. I'm so sorry. Okay, nice sentence that I like from Nick Walker. It is possible to be born neurodivergent, but it is impossible to be born neurotypical. I like this sentence, excuse me. I like this sentence because if we think about it, being typical, being considered typical or in an environment, it is like a social, it's a cultural construct. So you are considered typical once you embed the culture around you, and you are part of the society, you are part of the norms, you are part of the social life around you. But you are born neurodivergent or you are not born neurodivergent. I really like this sentence because even if it doesn't talk about the culture per se, but it implies all these things that I always say, that in order for you to be considered typical, in order for you not to, you have to embed the culture. And somebody that is considered typical, or certain behaviors that are considered normal behaviors or accepted behaviors in one part of the world, they are not well considered in another part of the world. So imagine for autistic people how difficult can be those changes. That is why from One Smile to Change the World, we like connecting people, students from all over the world. So then they understand different ways of living, different ways of communicating, traditions, and then they increase and they improve their cognitive flexibility as well. Can we change the slide, please? Now, when we talk about the change of narrative, I talked about language before because, as I said, language changes realities. If we see autism from the medical point of view, we just want to a cure for autism. We want, and that is not the case. We were born autistic, and we will be autistic always. Now, neurodiversity paradigm holds that there is not correct way to think, learn, or behave, but a variety of equally valid and valuable ways. So we all think, learn, behave, feel in a different way, and we should respect this, and we should understand this, so then we create the nice, the good, the perfect environment and culture, so that everybody can blossom. The importance of neurological diversity is essential as racial, cultural, and gender diversity. So we should promote an inclusive and environment, inclusive living style that appreciates and recognizes and even celebrates neurological differences. Can we change the slide, please? Okay, how important, so as I mentioned before, it is very important that we train people. So I'm also the CEO of International Neurodiversity College of London, which is a college based on neurodiversity paradigm, and we help students from all over the world as well with their studies and their careers. However, we really believe that in order for us to change the world, in order for us to improve the world, we should train, put our focus on training parents and training, parents, tutors, carers, and training teachers as well, because they can have, that way we can have impact on many other students all over the world. Now, how important is the neurodiversity paradigm in education? So it promotes education that respects neurological differences, as we said before, individualization or personalization of learning. So neurodiversity drives the creation of educational programs that meet individual needs of a student. Very important. Every student has different needs, regardless their condition or not. We should always consider the individual needs of every student we teach, every children we work with. It reduces the stigma associated with neurodevelopmental disorder diagnosis, which facilitates an environment where students feel accepted and valued. It helps with the development of strength because we focus on strengths rather than weaknesses. We focus on likes and motivation of students and their strengths. Also promotes the emotional well-being of neurodivergent students, and as I mentioned before, it is very important that in order to do that, we focus on training for teachers and parents or caregivers. Every professional. Sometimes we find even health providers that they don't understand the way we feel. They don't understand. Can you imagine all our sensory difficulties we have sometimes? You know, how do we approach? How do health providers approach an autistic child or dentists? All of that we have to train professionals. We have to train employers. We have to train every entrepreneur, so then they create nice environments for autistic people. So, as I mentioned before, can we change the slides? Yeah, here. Thank you. So, change of narrative. Language, again, language can change realities. So we talk about culture, and we should create a new international culture based on the neurodiversity paradigm. So then we all understand and we help autistic individuals and neurodivergent individuals. This is something we should do all over the world, creating a new international neurodiversity culture. We talk about inclusion here, which is good, but I mean, it's good. It's not that it's good. We have to talk about inclusion because there is still exclusion all over the world. So the ideal situation is that one day we can stop talking about inclusion, because that will mean that exclusion is finished all over the world. Now, inclusion focus on integrating autistic people in typical environments, schools, workplace, social life, through special accommodation and support. It's good. I mean, we have to, nowadays, we still have to talk about inclusion, we have to create special accommodation, but in the ideal world, the ideal situation would be talking about coexistence. That implies recognition and mutual respect for differences, and celebrate cognitive diversity, celebrate differences of people all over the world. Can we change the slide, please? So in this change of narrative that we suggest, we talk about accessibility that provides specific adjustment for autistic people. Obviously, we have to work hard, and we have to push more accessible places. But in the ideal world, ideal situation would be just talking about adaptability. Why? Because in this idea, environment would be inherently flexible and responsive to the individual needs of autistic people and everybody all over the world. Can we change the slide, please? Now, important as well that we don't see autism from pathology points of view, which is the way it used to be seen as a medical vision of autism as a disorder that needs to be diagnosed and treated, and rather we focus on neurodiversity, that's identity, that we see autism as a natural variation of the human spectrum. We've been always here in this world, and we will always be. Can we change, please? Then from intervention to self-determination. Still nowadays, and is the way we see the treatment, or the way we see the work we do with autistic people all over the world, is from the intervention point of view, the changing behaviors and skills of autistic person. I always like talking more about redirecting and redirecting those behaviors, not changing every behavior. So self-determination advocates for having control over own lives and decisions, and be supported to pursue our goals, our objectives. Can we change? And then these are some social and educational barriers that we face all over the world. If we think, for example, in Spain, 47% of teachers believes that, according to one survey, that schools are not ready for autistic people. Just only little. All over the world, between 80 and 85% of autistic people do not have employment, or have employment with very bad conditions. 80 to 85% of autistic people. So we need to help, and we need to work hard. So then we eliminate barriers as much as possible. If we talk about access to education, autistic people do not have adequate accommodation in education settings, such as support, sensory adjustment, assessment, adjustment, inclusive teaching methods, and once again, training. Educators and teachers are not trained enough on autism and neurodiversity. In work environment, there is not reasonable adjustment. There are no reasonable adjustment in many countries. Autistic people face challenges retaining employment, and we need to make sure that we once again train people all over the world. So then there are more accommodations and more adjusted environment for autistic people to have a job and a nice and happy life. We need flexible and accessible work environment that value the unique abilities of autistic people. Can you change, please? Thank you so much. Another one, social interactions. As we all know, autistic people face difficulties in communication and social interactions. Now, if we, on top of that, if we think now of the changing world, how people move all over the world and travels all over the world, different cultures together. So we are creating a global culture that is very, very difficult for autistic people to understand in different contexts and the way people behave in different social situations. So we need to promote a culture of respect and understanding in every context, every social context. And then access to services is what I mentioned before. We do not have the same access to services than neurotypical people. And I'm saying that because although we have the same rights, but they are not adapted to our needs. So then for us can be very, very stressing and very traumatic in many ways, accessing to services that in the same way than neurotypical people. So we need to make sure that, once again, we train people all over the world so then they understand our needs. And now, I'm going to be talking a bit about the pedagogy we are putting in place all over the world that has a very big understanding of cultures and the culture, and is adapted to different areas, very easy to adapt. So it's important, we work always in favor. I'm going to give you a couple of case studies later, but always in favor of towards motivation and interest of our students. We respect the neurological development of students, celebrate diversity, understand and enhance learning styles. Very important. We all learn in a different way. We all have different learning styles, so we have to understand them and work according to those learning styles. Individualization of teaching, very, very important. Individualization for not only for students that are a bit behind the rest of the class, also for the students that goes or learn faster. So we have to individualize every learning activity, every learning experience, so that every student has access to the full process, to the full experience. So we have to work on emotions as well, interpersonal and intrapersonal skills and relationships, and very important that we work towards the independence of our students. Okay. Now, deep interest and hyperfocus. So, in this sense, that is important. So we know that intense and specific interest can be usually detailed and specialized. Now, it is important that we understand from the beginning the deep interest of our students. Parents ask me many times, how do I do that? And I always tell them, okay, leave them be themselves. No, they arrive to the classroom or at home or wherever they are at the park. Just leave there everything you have, all the objects, the one they pick is you use it. No? And as teachers, as parents, we have to be able to identify teaching opportunities, and teach them use those interests or those of their favorite objects for that learning. I always say, I do a couple of examples. No, if we think about it, we think of a chair. How can we teach maths with a chair? Well, counting the legs of the chair, the angles. How do we teach history? Big thrones of the world. How do we teach music? Instruments that are played on a chair. Biology, the materials we use for the chair. So every object they like, every interest has to be used towards their learning. Can we change the slide, please? And now, communication. Here, it is important, as I mentioned before, that we communicate and we close the cycle of communication. For some of us, and even the impact, even with culture. So, for example, well, when I was working for the National Autistic Society, obviously we had the students from all over the world. So and it's the way the world is working now. So especially in the most developed countries, like United States, United Kingdom, Spain, Germany. So we tend to have a very multicultural schools, multicultural society. Imagine for an autistic person or individual being part of that community and having a culture at home that is different than in the street, that is different even than the school, because of that multicultural environment. So it is important that we have a very good communication method. So we communicate very, very good, and we always close the cycle of communication. What I'm saying that is, for example, for me is I'm very empathetic, sorry, but I need that extra information. No, people, for example, tells me, "Oh, I broke up with my partner," and then I do not feel anything. For me, it's very difficult to be empathetic in that situation. Now, if somebody tells me I broke up with my partner, for example, and I feel very sad, then I'm very sad straight away. It is only an example, but we need to give the whole information to autistic person and tell them, explain them what do our expectation, what do we expect from them in a social environment that is changing the whole time, especially in these multicultural societies. Can we change that? Thank you. Now, new pedagogical strategies for neurodiversity that we use. We always ask our students every day, what do you want to learn today? Why? And here I always talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is something that comes from inside and you really want to learn, you really want to do. Extrinsic is something that motivates you because you want to get something else. For example, I'm going to be talking about a case that a student that wanted to go to the music school and had to pass math exam in order to do that. His intrinsic motivation was going to the music school because he loved it. Now, the extrinsic one, he had to pass the math exam because he really wanted to go to the music school. It is important that we work always, try to use intrinsic motivation as much as possible, and that we only know it when we ask students what do they want to do, what do they want to learn, or we observe. We're talking about autistic support level 3 students that are not non-speakers, that they don't speak. We might not be able to ask them. Yeah, we can use alternative communication methods, augmentative methods, or any sort of visuals as well. We can use them, but if not, we just need to observe them and see what is the interest and so on and so forth. But it's important that we always have augmentative and alternative communication system. Very, very important. So then we give them the opportunity of being part as well of every social context and environment. Now, it is important the recognition and appreciation of neurological diversity. So each student has a unique brain with different ways of processing information, regardless their condition. Every student has a unique brain with different ways of processing information. So we need to adjust work time according to the student pace. Very important, having into consideration the pace. I'll give you one example as well. Every time when I go to Spain or here, now that I'm in Mexico, so automatically, as soon as I step out of the plane, my pace goes slow down. So because it's the pace of the cities. Whereas if as soon as I step on London's floor at the airport, I start running, going very, very, very fast. For autistic people, it can be individual, can be very, for me, it's difficult to regulate that. And sometimes we don't respect the pace of autistic people, but not only in the cities, not only in the work environment, but also at school. We don't understand that we might need, autistic individuals might need extra time or to do it very fast. We need to be able to adjust work times according to a student's pace or autistic people pace. Offer varieties of ways to demonstrate learning. As we said, different learning styles. Individualization, we already talked about individualization, and promote self-assessment and self-knowledge, metacognition, understanding how we learn, how we process information, and how we use it in different contexts. Can we change the slide, please? We already talked about individualization of learning, always towards likes and motivations of a student. If we use their likes, we have more than halfway done. We should be able, as parents, teachers, to identify likes and motivation of our children and work towards them. Adjust activities for different skills levels and work toward unique strengths, specific student skills, and work towards them and focus on strengths. Can we change the slide, please? So we should create accessible and flexible environments. And all over the world, there's a huge lack of flexible environments. And this here, the key word is flexibility. They have to be already flexible, so everybody, regardless their condition or even their disability, can access those environments. And this is not only for autistic people. We still have in the community many difficulties for people on wheelchair, for example, because they cannot access in the same way, or they depend on somebody else to access certain buildings and services. We should create flexible environments so that everybody has the same opportunity and the same experiences. Sensory modification, we also talk about flexible activities and adaptive technologies, resources, whiteboards. Just only a few examples. Change slide, please. And the most important part for me is always training and awareness, raising for educational staff from parents or caregivers, society, policymakers. We haven't talked today about policymakers and politicians. That is very important that they understand this condition. Little by little, we are doing a lot of activism. We do thanks to also to these sort of spaces like and these forums and these summits, because we need to create awareness, and we need to get politicians and policymakers to be aware of our needs, so then they create also a better services for us. And the only way we can do this is training, talking, creating all this awareness. Skill transfer, we talk about skill transfer learning, importance of continuing education, so that everybody understands the manifestation of neurodiversity. we change the perspective towards a model of coexistence, as I mentioned before, and we create more online training courses, awareness workshops. We are doing a lot of work, and I'd like to thank this society, and also Rita from Speak Up for giving us the opportunity of being today here and represent the Hispanic world. So then we can be together and we can work together towards creating a better world and an international culture of respect and understanding autism. Can we change the slide, please? Also very important, collaboration and empowerment, education collaboration with families, policymakers, as I mentioned before, societies from different countries. So then we create, as I said, a culture, new culture of understanding autism, education, individualized educational plans, students empowerment, so then they can make their own decision as well. Can we change? Also here is very important, employers and entrepreneurs, so then they understand autism. I'm going to give you a couple of case studies that I had in different countries. So I talked before about a student that loved music. So this student, he was 17 years old, around 16, 17, and he was in Vietnam. So he was a perfect fit. And he really wanted to go in to a music college. Now, the problem is that he had to pass maths in secondary. He didn't, and he was failing every year. He failed a couple of times. When he arrived at the school I was collaborating with, so we saw that he was very into Pokemon. The whole day talking about Pokemon. And the rest of the teachers, you know, they didn't understood individualization. They didn't understood the way he was, his brain was working, or the way he processed information. So what they did, they only told them, they used to tell him every day, you have to stop with Pokemon, and focus on music and maths. And then I asked them to, let me work with him. So what I did, it was the opposite. I downloaded all Pokemon Encyclopedia, the app Pokemon Go. I used to take him to hunt Pokemon with the app. Then I changed the whole maths educational plan, and I created based on Pokemon. At the end, I taught him exam skills. So then he not only passed maths, but he started loving maths as well. So he passed, and he had a very, very good experience. And then another experience I've just had a few weeks ago in Mexico. So it was a 5 years old individual that he find it very difficult to regulate in the class. And he was always a part of the rest of the students because he was engaging on self-injured behavior, and it was very difficult, especially during the lunch. So then what I identified is that he didn't have same experience, he didn't have the same opportunities that the rest of the students. The rest of the students, when they asked for something to the teachers, they were reminded, they were told, okay, tell me the magic words, please and thank you. And this student didn't have that opportunity. So the first thing I did, it was teaching him how to use Makaton and say, please and thank you. So then once he learned that, he started participating in many activities. In lunchtime, he was asking, and the rest of the students started seeing him as a part of the group. Another thing, another difficulty he had, it was during lunchtime. He used to, as many autistic individuals, he's non-speaker, he doesn't speak, he's a few sounds. But he was very anxious when he had lunch. So he was sitting a lot, trying to take everything from the rest of the students. Imagine for how annoyed were the rest of the students. So I created a routine for him to eat. And then after a couple of days, he started eating first plate, like foods, tissue, snack, tissue, water. The good thing about the amazing thing about this is that after a few days, he was able to eat by himself. But not only that, when he started eating fast, his colleagues, his classmates, used to point, they point out the plates, so then they help him towards eating slower. That is really changing his whole context. He improved in the class, and we are creating a nice culture in that school. So that not only is good for the autistic student, but for the rest of the students, that they understand that we all have different brains, and we even communicate in a different way. And then the other case study is One Smile to Change the World, which is I already talked about it, what we do around the world as a society with a free educational program that we connect the students all over the world. So they learn from different cultures, and they understand that there are different ways of behaving and accepted ways of behave in different societies. Can we change the slide? And here I only mention few autistic people that we all know, people that were believed to be autistic, but they had the right context, so they had the right, once they were able to work their lives and motivation, they became real reference in their area. But not only these people, these are examples that we already know, and they are gifted, they are amazing, they did something huge. But in the next slide, I'm going to tell you two cases that I'm amazed by. So I've been living in London for 12 years, and I follow the work of Stephen Wiltshire a lot. Is one of the Britain's best known artists today. So he can speak a bit, but is not full verbal. He doesn't, he still has difficulties with communication. He can say a few words now. He is able just to, if he goes in a helicopter or he sees the skyline of a city, he's able to draw by memory every single detail of the city. However, he cannot process what he is. It's an amazing case. He cannot fully process what he is drawing. So he is able to draw buildings with all the windows, but he might not be able, he's not able to process sometimes that thing that he's drawing are windows. And Jason Ardell is an autistic professor from Cambridge, from Afro-American background. And he couldn't speak until he was 9, 10. He couldn't even read or write until he was 18. And he is the youngest Afro-American background person to become professor at Cambridge University. And this is because when he was 16, 17, he found a nice teacher, a nice tutor that believed in him and work towards his likes and motivation, and then both of them, Stephen Wiltshire and Jason Ardell, they blossomed and they became the individuals that they are now. It is very important that we create always the nice context for our children and students, then they can blossom, and then from a very culture of respect and understanding of neurodiversity. Can we change the slide, please? And just to finish, before I thank everybody, I want to say one sentence that I always say. The quality or the skill that makes us most equal as a human being is that we are all different. We should understand that we are different. And education and training must always be the main agent of change, adapting to each individual to create an inclusive environment, a coexistent model that embraces neurodiversity and allows everyone to develop our full potential. Before I finish, I'd like to say once again, thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to join with my amazing colleagues from the Hispanic representation, also to a speaker to Autism Today Foundation as well, Karen, Joaquin, and it's been a dream being part of this Congress with real reference for me, like Dr. Temple and Stephen Shore. It's been a dream. Thank you so much, and let's work hard to create a better world for autistic people. Thank you so much.